What if your greatest failure, the one that left you humiliated, broke, and publicly shamed, was actually the foundation for your multi-million-dollar fortune? This is not a story about a 20-year-old inventing an app. This is a story about Diana Finch. At 54 years old, the family business she had built for 30 years was gone, bankrupt. Her partner, her own brother, had betrayed her, leaving her with a severance check for $700. She was unemployable. She was a local disgrace. 3 years later, she is the sole founder of Hearth and Haven, a $5 million luxury home brand that Vogue called the scent of the year. How did she do it? She didn't get a loan. She didn't have investors. She took the $700, a box of a failed hobby product, and put it on Etsy. This story is the ultimate proof that your big idea might not be a new idea at all. It might be the old one, the one you gave up on, just waiting for the right audience. Pay close attention, because Diana's story is a masterclass in luck, timing, and the art of the pivot. You think you've failed? You think it's over? You need to hear this. For 30 years, Diana Finch was the soul of Finch & Company. It was a high-end, curated home goods store in a wealthy suburb of Boston. If you wanted the perfect wedding gift, you went to Finch & Company. Diana was the taste. She was the one who traveled, who found the unique textiles, the hand-thrown pottery. Her brother Mark was the business. He handled the books, the loans, the expansion. Diana trusted him. Implicitly. She was 54. Her life was comfortable. She wasn't rich, but she was successful. She had a beautiful home, a respected name in her community. She was earning a solid $110,000 a year. She assumed she'd do this until she retired. The collapse was fast, and it was brutal. It started with a call from the bank. "We're calling the loan." Diana was confused. What loan? It turned out Mark hadn't just been expanding. He'd been gambling. He'd been making bad investments. He'd taken out 3 separate high-interest loans against the business, without her knowledge, to cover his losses. It was a house of cards. Within 6 weeks, Finch & Company was in bankruptcy court. The store was seized. The inventory was auctioned off for pennies on the dollar. Diana, as a partner, was liable. She lost her home. She lost her 401k. She lost her savings. She went from being Diana Finch, the most tasteful woman in Boston, to that woman, the one whose family business went under. The betrayal by her brother was one thing. The public humiliation was another. She had to move into a tiny rented condo. The final severance check, the last bit of money left in the corporate account after the lawyers were done, was for $700. She was 54. She had 30 years of experience in a business that no longer existed. She was broke. She was heartbroken. And she was starting from a number worse than 0. She was starting from a reputation of failure. Scene prompt 1. The collapse. Cinematic, high-contrast shot. Diana, 54, stands in the now empty dark retail space of Finch & Company. Dust motes hang in the air from a single window. She's holding a small brown cardboard box, the last of her personal effects. She looks at the ghosts of the shelves, the outline of the cash register. Her face is not crying, but it's a mask of profound hollowed-out loss and humiliation. This is rock bottom. She spent the first 2 weeks in a fog. She was packing up the last of her things from the store. In the back of her old office, she found a dusty cardboard box. Inside were about 40 bottles of a product she'd developed 2 years earlier. It was a home fragrance, a linen spray. It wasn't just some craft project. Diana had worked with a small perfumer to develop a unique, complex scent: lavender, cedar, and a touch of bergamot. She'd called it the Haven Mist. She'd tried to sell it in the store for $25. It was a total flop. Customers would say, "It's lovely, Diana, but $25 for air freshener?" It was her one big failed product. She looked at the 40 bottles. She almost threw them in the trash. But she needed money. Badly. She thought, maybe I can make a few $100s. She had $700. She spent $150. She bought a domain name, hearthandhaven.com, but didn't know how to build a website. So she went to Etsy. It seemed simpler. She took pictures of the bottles with her iPhone. Against a white towel, she listed them. Hearth and Haven Luxury Linen Mist, $25. She opened her store. And, nothing. For a week, silence. She felt stupid. Of course, she thought. It failed then, it's failing now. But then, cha-ching, the Etsy seller app notification. She'd made a sale, $25. To a woman, in Oregon. The next day, 2 more sales. One in Texas, one in Florida. These weren't her old customers. These were strangers. She was making $50, $75 a day. It wasn't a living, but it was something. She bought more oils, more bottles. She was mixing them in her tiny condo kitchen, printing labels on her inkjet printer. She was just surviving. But the message that completely changed her life, it wasn't a cha-ching. It was an email. It came from a woman named Sarah Jane. Diana didn't know her, but she was a blogger. A small niche, but very influential blogger in the coastal grandmother and cozy home community. The email said, "Hi Diana. I bought a bottle of your Haven Mist on a whim. I am obsessed. It's the most sophisticated scent I've ever found. I'm doing my top 5 holiday must-haves post, and I want to feature you. Can you send me 5 bottles for a reader giveaway?" Diana was thrilled. 5 bottles. She sent them, with a handwritten note. She thought it might get her 10, maybe 20 new sales. What happened next was a complete and total accident. 2 weeks later, Diana was asleep. At 2:17 a.m., her phone buzzed. Cha-ching. She smiled in her sleep. Then, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. Her phone lit up. It didn't stop. It sounded like a casino. She sat up, terrified. She thought her account was hacked. She opened her Etsy app. 10 orders. 50 orders. 300 orders. She refreshed. 500 orders. The blogger. The post had just gone live at 2 a.m. Eastern, to catch the European and US morning audience. It wasn't just a post. It was a 1,000-word love letter to Hearth and Haven. The blogger had linked it. And it had gone viral. By 9 a.m., Diana had 3,000 orders. 3,000 orders. At $25 a bottle. That was $75,000. In 7 hours, Diana, the 54-year-old bankrupt woman, had just made $75,000 in her kitchen. And she had a new problem, a terrifying one. She had 40 bottles. She had 3,000 orders. This wasn't a business. It was a crisis. Scene prompt 2. The explosion. Cinematic split screen. On the left, a cozy Instagram reel. A woman's hands spray Haven Mist onto a beautiful linen bed. The text, "My-1 must have," flashes. On the right, Diana's face, illuminated only by her phone in her dark apartment. Her eyes are wide with a mix of pure terror and disbelief as the Etsy cha-ching notification scrolls faster and faster down her screen, like a broken slot machine. This is the moment 99% of people fail. They get the viral hit, and they collapse. They post sold out, and the momentum dies. Diana didn't. Her 30 years of business experience, the failure, it kicked in. She knew about suppliers. She knew about logistics. She couldn't do this in her kitchen. She immediately put her Etsy store on vacation mode. She took that $75,000 and did something brilliant. She didn't hire staff. She didn't rent a warehouse. She found a co-packer, a small local cosmetics and bottling company in her state. She drove there, that same morning, with her last bottle. She walked in, found the owner, and said, "This is Haven Mist. I have 3,000 prepaid orders. I need you to replicate this, bottle it, and label it. I will pay you cash for the first run." The owner saw the Etsy orders. He smelled the product. He was in. Diana wasn't a crafter anymore. She was a CEO. She was now in the manufacturing business. But the next step, this is what turned her $75,000 windfall into $6.5 million. She knew Etsy was a launchpad, not a home. She took the rest of that money and hired a Shopify expert. She spent $10,000 on a professional, beautiful, high-end website, hearthandhaven.com. She built a brand. She added 2 new products, a candle, and a reed diffuser. Same scent. When the 3,000 orders were finally shipped, she relaunched. The viral buzz was still there. The blogger's audience had been waiting, and now they weren't just buying a $25 spray. They were buying the $65 candle. The $80 home scent kit. Her average order value jumped from $25 to $90. And the media, they didn't see an Etsy crafter. They saw a luxury brand. Architectural Digest featured her. Then Vogue. Then Goop. They all told the same irresistible story. The 54-year-old woman who lost everything and built a luxury brand from a single scent. Her failure wasn't a liability. It was her story. And her story was the greatest marketing tool she had. So, where is Diana Finch today? She is 57. Hearth and Haven is a $6.50 million a year e-commerce brand. She has 12 full-time employees, all remote. The manufacturing is handled by a massive co-packer. She has expanded the line to 3-cent stories. Her personal net worth is estimated at $2.8 million and climbing. She lives in a stunning home on the coast. The one she bought with cash. She has 100% ownership of her company. She has no investors, no partners, no brother. She answers to no one. She didn't just rebuild the life she lost, she built a better one. A life where she, and she alone, was in control. Scene prompt 3. The New Empire. Cinematic, warm shot. Diana 57 stands in a bright, minimalist, modern warehouse. Her co-packing facility. She's inspecting a new bottle from the production line. The same silver gray hair, the same calm, confident smile from the thumbnail. She's not packing boxes. She's overseeing her empire. She nods to the floor manager, satisfied. She is in complete control. So what is the replicable strategy here? You're thinking, I need a viral blog post. No, that was the luck. The strategy is what she did with it. Step 1. Audit your failed passions. What is the project you loved, that you spent time on, but that failed? The blog you wrote that no one read? The product you made that no one bought? It didn't fail. It just hadn't found its audience. Your old failure is a market-tested asset. Step 2. Find your micro-megaphone. Diana didn't try to get on Good Morning America. She was found by a niche blogger. Stop trying to go big. Go specific. Find the small group of superfans. Find the Facebook group, the Substack, the small influencer who is your perfect customer. Sell to them first. Step 3. Scale from maker to CEO. Immediately. The moment Diana got 3,000 orders, she stopped making sprays. She started managing a supplier. You cannot grow if you are still the one packing the boxes. The moment you have proof of concept, you must find a co-packer, a virtual assistant, a freelancer. Your job is not to do the work. Your job is to grow the business. Diana Finch was 54, broke, and a public failure. She was defined by her past, but she took that past, the failure, the betrayal, and the 30 years of experience, and she built an empire. Your greatest failure isn't a scar. It's your origin story. It's your leverage. It's the one thing your competitors don't have. Use it. If this story inspired you, hit that subscribe button. Because the story I have for you next week, it's about a 28-year-old personal assistant who turned her boss's annoying requests into a $12 million subscription box. You are not going to want to miss it. Your second act starts now.